determination. So we are going to see this, how the wage rate is determined in the labor market. First, we start with a perfectly competitive labor market. In a perfectly competitive labor market, the wage rate will be determined by market forces of demand and supply. So in the market, there will be many buyers, that is many firms who are willing to buy labor, and many sellers, that is many workers are willing to sell their labor force. Now, labor are homogeneous, that is labor have the same skill, they are identical with the same skill. There's no trade union in the market. Trade union will not influence wage rate. So wage rate for the industry is determined by demand and supply. Demand for labor is downward sloping from left to right, and supply is upward sloping from left to right. Now, the firm can hire as many workers as it wishes at the given wage rate. That is, the firm is a wage taker. The firm will have to accept the wage determined by the market. A single firm will not be able to influence the wage rate. Now, the firm will face a perfectly elastic supply curve because he can hire any number of workers at the given wage rate. That is, workers will supply their service at the given wage rate, and the firm can hire any number of workers at the given wage rate. Now, if the wage rate, for example, in the table, if the wage rate is 100, the wage rate will remain 100 even if more workers are being supplied. So the wage rate remains the same at 100. Quantity of labor supply is increasing 1, 2, 3, 4, but the wage rate will remain the same, 100. Now the total factor cost is obtained by multiplying the number of labor supply multiplied by the wage rate. So 1 multiplied by 100 gives us 100, 2 multiplied by 100 say 200, and so on. Now the marginal factor cost, meaning the increase to total cost when hiring an additional worker. So when the firm is hiring an additional worker, the marginal factor cost will increase by 100, which is similar to the wage rate. So marginal factor cost will be equal to the supply curve and average factor cost as well. So average factor cost and marginal factor cost and supply will be perfectly elastic. The supply curve will be perfectly elastic as shown in the diagram. We have to superimpose a marginal revenue product of labor on the supply curve to determine how many workers will be employed by the firm. So if MRP is a marginal revenue product of labor and SL is the supply curve of the firm will employ OL of workers at wage rate OW. Now, why the firm will employ where marginal revenue is equal to supply? It is because the firm will equate, a profit maximizing firm will equate MRP of labor to marginal cost of labor. So where MRP of labor is equal to marginal cost of labor, then we will have the number of workers that is going to be employed by the firm in a perfectly competitive labor market. Now, if we have monopsony in the market, monopsony refers to a single buyer in the labor market. When labor is when there is a single buyer of labor, then we say there is a monopsonist. Now, the monopsonist, he can influence the wage rate. He is a wage maker, not a wage taker. He will be able to influence the wage rate. So we are going to look at the marginal factor cost now. The monopsonist can hire more workers, but to do so, he will have to increase the wage rate he is offering to the worker. That is, to attract additional laborers, he will have to increase the wage rate. So as we see in the table, if the number of workers increases, the wage rate will increase. So when we are hiring one worker, the wage rate is 10. If we want to hire more workers, we have to offer a higher wage rate. So the wage rate becomes 11. The total factor cost is calculated by multiplying the number of workers by the wage rate, and then we can calculate the marginal factor cost. So if the first worker, the total factor cost is 10. For the second worker, the total factor cost is 22. Therefore, the marginal factor cost becomes 12. 22 minus 10 gives us 12. So what we see is that the marginal factor cost is going to be higher than the wage rate. Therefore, in the case of monopsony, the supply curve is no longer the marginal cost of labor, no longer the marginal factor cost of labor. In fact, the marginal factor cost of labor will lie above the supply curve. So the monopsonist will equate marginal factor cost of labor to marginal revenue product of labor. So where marginal factor cost is equal to marginal revenue product of labor, this will be the number of workers employed, but the wage rate will be given by the supply of labor. So the wage rate in the diagram is W1 and the number of workers employed is OL1. Now, if a trade union enters the market, we first start with trade union entering a perfectly competitive labor market. If a trade union enters a perfectly competitive labor market, there will be a change in the supply curve of labor. So where the trade union set the wage rate, the supply curve will become perfectly elastic. So as shown in the diagram, if the union set the wage rate at WU, the supply curve becomes WU ASL. Now, if we are in a perfectly competitive labor market, demand and supply determine the wage rate, but when the union enters the market, the union can set the wage rate above the competitive level. For example, if union set the wage rate at WU, the demand for labor will be QU, but the supply of labor will be Q1. Therefore, there will be an excess supply of labor in the market. Now, whether union will be able to maintain the wage rate at WU will depend on the strength of the union, because this excess supply of labor will push the wage rate downwards. They will want to work and they will be willing to accept a lower wage rate. This can push the wage rate downwards. But whether wage rate will remain at WU, that is a union wage rate, will depend on the strength of the union. For example, the union can operate a closed shop policy whereby the union requires all workers to be unionized, or the union can try to shift the demand for labor to the right. This can be done by increasing labor productivity, by giving labor more training. Labor productivity can increase, and this can increase demand for labor, shifting demand to the right, and hence equilibrium can be where at the point A. Okay, in the diagram, the equilibrium will be if demand shift to the right, equilibrium will be at the point A in the diagram. Now, if the union enters a monopsonist market, that is where there is only a sole buyer of labor, the union will have a range over which it can increase the wage rate without reducing the level of employment, but it will also have a range over which it can increase wage rate, but at the cost of lower employment. Now, if the union enter the market and set the wage rate at WC, that is at the competitive level, it will succeed in raising both wage rate and number of workers employed, because the number of workers employed will increase from LM to LC. So there will be an increase in the number of workers employed. But if the union increase the wage rate beyond WC, there will be an excess supply of labor. Okay, there will be an excess supply of labor, and at the same time, the number of workers employed will decrease, because the number of workers employed will be determined by the marginal revenue product of labor. So the number of workers employed will decrease. At W1, for example, there will be an excess supply of labor, and the number of workers employed will be less than the competitive level. So if the union enters a monopsonist labor market, it can raise wage rate. If it raises a wage rate between WM and WC, both wage rate and employment will increase. But if it raises a wage rate above WC, wage rate will increase, but this will reduce labor below the competitive employment below the competitive level. Thank you.